WXII 12 News at 10 on the Triad CW starts now.
I kind of got behind him and started doing the Heimlich maneuver and couldn't get the food out.
Quick thinking from a local teacher saving the life of a young boy. What was going through his head during the intense moments in a lunchroom?
This was a clear and present danger.
Utterly unpersuaded about any evidence about the imminence of a threat.
More of what lawmakers are saying after a briefing on the killing of an Iranian general, which led to an attack on U.S. forces.
Plus, a country in mourning after dozens of its citizens die in a plane crash outside of Iran's capital.
First tonight, a teacher at Gibsonville Elementary School is being recognized as Employee of the Month for a really great reason.
Yeah, his quick actions and training saved the life of a young boy in a cafeteria. Tonight, he revisited those moments and says he was in the right place at the right time. It was just like any other day in the cafeteria at Gibsonville Elementary until someone got the attention of fourth grade teacher Mr. Simpson.
And the kindergarten teacher said, "I think something's wrong with one of your students."
Simpson saw that one of his fourth grade boys couldn't breathe.
I looked over there and I was like, "Oh yeah, something's definitely wrong." He was down on the floor, so I went running around there.
Fresh off of his required CPR class this summer, Simpson knew exactly what to do.
I kind of got behind him and started doing the Heimlich maneuver and couldn't get the food out. So I actually had to push him over like a U, and I was actually lifting him off of the ground.
Before it was too late, the food came out and the boy was breathing. Simpson sat by his side, gave him water, and made sure he was okay.
A rough day. It gave me appreciation for people that do medical daily, because before I could call his mom, I had to go in the office and get myself together, because it was very nerve-wracking.
The school awarded Simpson with Employee of the Month, and the principal said this is one of many reasons Simpson's impact is greatly felt at the school.
And really the gravity of it has really hit me, because I just jumped in and did what I had to do.
The young girl at the center of an attempted kidnapping case is safe and doing well at home tonight.
Yeah, Timothy Fry charged with kidnapping and indecent liberties in the case. Officers say he tried to take the girl from a fast food restaurant in Greensboro. Steve King spoke to that girl's mother, and here's the latest.
It makes me sick to my stomach.
Heather Owen says she is disgusted by Timothy Fry's arrest warrant, which stated he intended to kidnap Owen's daughter to terrorize the 8-year-old and put her in sexual servitude. Right now, the child is doing better.
She does not seem to understand what this man's intentions were. So for her, it's back to life and her happy little world as usual. She's herself.
But Owen is left shaken, recalling those terrifying moments when she says her daughter broke away from Fry at the Biscuitville on West Market Street in Greensboro on December 27th, when police say Fry grabbed the girl as she walked out of the bathroom.
She was crying. Initially, the first thought was holding her, hugging her, and trying to calm her down. Are you okay?
She's also grateful for the actions Cody Bird took that day. Cody intervened and snapped photos of Fry and his car, which police say was instrumental in officers finding Fry later that day.
He's one in a million. I told him that day he's a guardian angel.
But also unsure what to do now. She says she's always wanted her daughter to understand independence.
She likes to carry the tray herself. She likes the order under her name because it makes her feel like a big kid.
And Owen thought her child could go to the bathroom herself while she kept an eye on her daughter. At larger public settings, Owen says she stays by her daughter's side. Owen and her daughter have been to this Biscuitville many times, but now.
How do you teach your child to be independent when you don't want to let them out of your sight ever again? Especially when she doesn't understand why mom is like, no, you can't come back.
And that was Steve King with that story tonight. Right now, Fry remains in the Guilford County Jail on a $300,000 bond.
Happening now, the Alamance County Sheriff's Office is on the lookout for this missing teenager. Take a good look at your screen. Deputies say Janelle Scott was last seen on December 16th at her house on Pillow Lane in Green Level. Officials believe she may be in Durham and is off her medication. If you know where she is, you're asked to call Alamance County deputies. We're also following the latest developments in the Iran crisis. President Trump today assured Americans that no one was hurt when Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles at 2 Iraqi military bases where U.S. troops are stationed. Iran's supreme leader saying that it was retaliation for the U.S. drone strike that killed its top military leader. Alice Barr explains how the U.S. is planning to strike back.
The Today, a step back from the brink. With the news no Americans were hurt in Iran's missile strikes on Iraqi bases housing U.S. forces, President Trump is playing down the attacks.
Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world.
The president's previous tough talk of military action shifting to a vow for punishing new economic sanctions that will remain.
Until Iran changes its behavior.
While saying he wants peace, the president began his statement with these words.
Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon.
And just hours after Iran's supreme leader called the missile strikes a slap in the face for the killing of its top general, the president again defended his decision to take out Qasem Soleimani.
We took decisive action to stop a ruthless terrorist from threatening American lives.
Top administration officials briefing lawmakers today on the intelligence behind the drone strike on Soleimani. Reaction mainly falling down party lines.
This was a clear and present danger.
Utterly unpersuaded about any evidence about the imminence of a threat.
But notably, two Republican senators sharply critical.
Was probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue.
They have justified the killing of an Iranian general as being something that Congress gave them permission to do in 2002. That is absurd. That's an insult.
Both now say that while they support the president, they would also support a war powers resolution Democrats plan to bring to the floor tomorrow to limit President Trump's military actions in Iran. Alice Barr, NBC News, Washington.
Well, this is new tonight. Iraq's military says 2 rockets hit Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone. Sirens sounded in the part of the Iraqi capital that houses government buildings and foreign missions, including the U.S. Embassy. 2 loud blasts were heard before the sirens went off, and officials said the rockets caused no casualties, and there was no immediate word on who was responsible for that rocket attack. Well, members of North Carolina's congressional delegation are responding to the Iran crisis. In a statement, Representative Ted Budd said this in part, quote, "I have been briefed on the situation. I am convinced that showing strength was the best way to deter a wider conflict with a rogue nation like Iran."
Meanwhile, Representative Mark Walker says in part, quote, "The only people who have been promoting war are the misguided supporters of the previous administration's dangerous failures that led to the financing of more terrorism." The unrest in the Middle East has a local church calling for peace. As WXI's Kirsten Gutierrez explains, they're inviting everyone to attend a vigil tomorrow night and pray for people who are overseas in the middle of it.
Dozens of people are expected to come out and pray for peace here at St. Anne's Episcopal Church. Now they're holding a vigil welcoming all people and religions. Rector with the church, Jenny Wilder, says with the attack in Iraq on American troops, now is the perfect time for the community to come together.
A candlelight vigil for prayer and for peace here at St. Anne's, gathered around our peace pole on the front lawn, which has "Let Peace Prevail" written in at least, I think, 16 different languages.
Wilder says this event welcomes everyone in every religion. Rabbis from Temple Emmanuel will attend, and they've also invited the Anor Islamic Center.
We're not in this alone as one faith, as one tradition, as one source of prayer and hope. But it's going to take all of us coming together and reaching across and reminding ourselves that we're all God's beloved children.
She hopes the vigil will make a difference, big or small.
To come together, be a part of something bigger than ourselves, and offer up prayers to hopefully rain down the peace that passes all understanding here in Winston-Salem and around the world.
The vigil will be held here at St. Anne's Episcopal Church at 6 Thursday night. In Winston-Salem, Kirsten Gutierrez, WXI 12 News.
All right, Kirsten, thanks. Well, around 2,500 Camp Lejeune Marines are being redirected toward the Mediterranean Sea. That's according to the Marine Corps Times. The 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit is an air-ground task force whose role is crisis response. In all, at least 6,500 service members from North Carolina have been sent to the Middle East in the last 5 days. The U.S. Army is warning about a wave of fake text messages telling Americans they have been drafted to fight in Iran. The text contains spelling and grammatical errors. That's one key indicator that they are not real. The draft was suspended in the 70s. It would take an act of Congress in order to get the draft back. Still unclear how many of these fraudulent armed forces recruiting texts may have been sent. Military officials are still investigating the source. Well, as the Iran crisis continues, you can get alerts right on your phone by downloading the free WXII 12 mobile app.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is offering condolences and support to Canadians who lost loved ones on the Ukraine International Airlines flight that crashed shortly after takeoff from Tehran yesterday. Ukrainian authorities say that among the victims were 82 Iranians, 63 Canadians, and 11 Ukrainians.
On behalf of all Canadians, I want to express my deepest condolences to those who are mourning the loss of a loved one. Your loss is indescribable. This is a heartbreaking tragedy.
The Tehran-Toronto via Kiev route is a popular one for Canadians of Iranian descent visiting Iran in the absence of direct flights, and it's carried a lot of students and academics heading home for the holidays. New tonight, one fisherman is dead, one's been rescued, and 2 others are missing from a sinking boat in the Pamlico Sound. The Coast Guard says it received a distress signal from the boat last night. A lifeboat crew and a helicopter responded and found 2 of the 4 crew members. Family and community members say the 2 found are Captain Floyd Gibbs and Benjamin Poe. Both were taken to a hospital in Elizabeth City, where Gibbs was pronounced dead. Poe has been released from the hospital. Family members identify the 2 fishermen still missing as Sammy Douglas and Kieran Davis.
Happening now, flu season is picking up. We're just now getting into the peak season, and today hospitals started banning children under 12 from visiting patients across the Triad, including Cone Health, Wake Forest Baptist, and Novant hospitals. Children can still be admitted for treatment, but doctors are worried about the flu spreading.
The bad news first is that we are having a lot of cases of flu right now. In the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's really started to skyrocket. In fact, the total number of cases is about the same as it was 2 years ago, which was a bad season.
The peak of flu season extends into February. Flu season typically will last until around May.
To Commitment 2020 now, Democratic presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg is going to be opening more field offices in North Carolina, including one in the Triad. He already has offices in Charlotte, Raleigh, and Fayetteville, and is going to add sites in Winston-Salem, Asheville, and Chapel Hill. That's set to happen this Saturday, a day Bloomberg's campaign is declared as Day 1, a national day of impact with more than 150 events in 27 states. They are planning to register voters, feed the homeless, and volunteer at local nonprofits. New tonight, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg says she is cancer-free following numerous health scares. She revealed the good news in an interview with CNN. Justice Ginsburg has survived cancer 4 times now. The 86-year-old is the oldest member of the Supreme Court. She was appointed in 1993 by President Bill Clinton.